What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's been coming out associated to insiders, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So right now it is up 1.07%, starting to pull back with the broader market as well as a lot of the AI plays. Even Nvidia itself is down 4.27%. And this is something I did bring up in my pre-market video yesterday. There was an abnormal amount of puts being purchased on Nvidia, anticipating maybe 775 is anticipated by the end of next week. So that's something to keep in mind. But when it comes to SoundHound, the high of $6.28 is still good. For volume, 51.9 million shares have been traded, 71.9 is the average. These are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So it still does show that big money is looking at SoundHound. Whether they are getting in for the long term or not, that's probably rather than no, and more so just for swing trading. But based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price, majority of these transactions are buys. So overall, that is a kind of a good thing. When it comes down to the company itself, there has been no recent news. So the news that did come out today, it just says 4 top stocks for the AI revolution. So this is more of a general thing where SoundHound is just listed. So it's not really company specific news. And prior to that, the JPM technology conference on March the 4th, I didn't live stream that or do a video dedicated on that, only because there was no real substance there. So again, nothing really new from the company itself. SEC filings on March the 6th, you did see this. So this was submitted after hours, a Form 4, and ultimately that did signal this individual right here, Lawrence Marcus, who is a director, did sell 150,000 shares. It was a sell, not for tax purposes, because you can see transaction code S versus if it was F, it would be for taxes. This individual does have roughly about 383,000 shares left over, so still a good amount, but no matter what, this is a very bad image for insiders and whatever. So ultimately, this is what aided in it going down, having that dip. And oddly enough, I actually did start covering SoundHound because of the big money that was rushing into it, and also these 144. So a lot of, I guess, proposed intention to sell securities. So a lot of insiders were selling at that stage before it was even starting to get very hyped up. So I see that as a potential red flag. Shorts though are increasing, 108,000 shares, 12.05% of the free float is being shorted, 32.17 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 16.39%. It still is on the threshold list, and it's been on the threshold list, it looks like, since the 23rd. And so in theory, after a company has been on the threshold list for 13 consecutive trading days, the SEC should be interjecting and kind of stepping in. And this is where they should really force market makers to rectify the deficiency, aka naked shorting. So that could give it a nice bump up in the price. But SEC, in the past at least, and other companies don't really follow through all that much. So again, that might be something, might not be anything. You guys just do your own due diligence. As far as options though, $5.11 million in calls being purchased versus 872 in puts. Sentiment wise, 52% of all the options being done today are bearish. But for instance, looking at the open interest for the volume today for the call options, there's a consensus for it to be above $6 by the end of next week. And looking at puts, you do see there's a consensus for it to be below $5.50. That'll make a little bit more sense once I talk on the technicals and all that. But looking at the open interest for the call options, if SoundHound is able to close above $6, then this is where you'll see 9,000 in open interest get exercised. So that does mean market makers will have to go to the open market and kind of buy that, right? Because they don't have SoundHound most likely in their inventory. So that could give it a nice corresponding bump up in the price. But at the same time, by seeing that, you might see them try to short it and stay purposefully below $6. So again, something to keep in mind. But right now with it at $5.65, or now 64, it is flirting with this pivot point. So this pivot point has been its saving grace over the last little bit. So for instance, if it does close below that, then anticipate 323 to 565. Hopefully it does actually bounce higher and kind of there is a more of a value rally with AI. Maybe the the power hour today. But nonetheless, if it is able to stay in this pivot range right here between 565 and 805, this is where you could see another kind of push to all-time highs essentially. But right now, as I do this video, it's kind of flirting with this exact pivot point. And like I said, when it comes down to a lot of the puts that are being purchased, there's a strong consensus for it to be below 550, so this kind of pivot point right here. So let me know your thoughts on that and if you think it's going to hold or not. Aside from that, just to quickly go over some charting and some other fun jazz. So quickly go over to the charts. So I do have the 15 1-day and also the 1 hour chart once it does load. So as you can kind of see, it is higher percentile of the boiling band right here. And looking on both the smaller charts, the 15 and the 1 hour chart, those do show signs of breaking down. And it's only as of early. So basically I had a lot of good momentum, just with the broad market is pulling it back. But just to quickly go over here, just to show you this. So right now, stochastic right here is also very low. So it is at 9. So in theory, if this is where the company, wink, wink, if the company can actually put out something good out, this is where you could see a rush of value investors, potentially, of course. Take that with a grain of salt, because SoundHound has still gone up quite a lot over the last little bit. But big money really wants to kind of hype up a momentum play, and SoundHound seems to be it. So in theory, if the company itself puts out something of substance, you'll see that big money just rushing into SoundHound, causing it to get to all-time highs essentially. If that doesn't happen, then the vice versa, on the opposite will happen. Then it'll kind of trend lower to the $3 range. But right now, despite everything, you do see a bullish sentiment starting to form. So the blue line above the orange. So that's kind of a very positive thing. But like I said, just a lot of the individual charts are showing signs of weakness, meaning it might actually be pulling down. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? As well, what is your take, for instance, of this Form 4? Do you think that this is something to be concerned about, or do you think that this is just this individual needing money? Because obviously everyone needs money. I'm sure a lot of us, if we were in this exact scenario as Lawrence Marcus, maybe they wanted to kind of collect some profits and have some additional play money. I'm not really sure. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? And with that said, I appreciate all of you watching. Make sure you guys as well take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗏, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.